There are moments in life when everything feels heavy, when the smile on your face hides a storm inside your heart. You pray, but nothing seems to change. You try to be strong, but inside you're breaking. You wonder if God still hears you, if He still sees you. My friend, listen closely. He does. Every tear that falls from your eyes, every silent whisper you send into the night, He hears them all. He's been there beside you even when you couldn't feel Him. When the world turned its back, His arms stayed open. When you thought you had no one, He whispered, "I'm here." And sometimes, it's in the silence that He speaks the loudest. Maybe you're walking through pain that no one understands. Maybe people left you, promises broke, dreams faded, and you started to believe that this is it, that this is how your story ends. But I want you to know your story isn't over. What you call an ending, God calls the beginning. Every chapter of pain is only leading you closer to your purpose. Every night of tears is watering the seed of your future joy. You see, pain is not proof of God's absence. It's the evidence of His shaping. Diamonds are formed under pressure. Gold is refined through fire. And your heart, though it's been broken, is being molded by the hands of love. You've been through battles that others would not have survived, but look at you, still standing, still breathing, still here. That's not an accident. That's grace. God doesn't waste pain. Every scar carries a story of survival. Every storm leaves behind strength you didn't know you had. The things that tried to destroy you only prepared you for what's next. And right now, even if you can't see it, He's aligning everything. He's working behind the curtain, arranging people, timing, and moments for your breakthrough. What looks like a delay is often divine direction. You're not late, you're in training. You're not forgotten, you're being formed. There were times you begged God for answers and heard nothing. You thought He was silent, but He was actually speaking through the silence, teaching you patience, trust, and endurance. Because faith isn't built when everything goes right. Faith is born in the waiting, when you choose to believe even without proof. So don't let fear lie to you. Don't let loneliness convince you that you're not enough. You are loved beyond measure, not because of what you've done, but because of who He is. You don't have to earn His love, you just have to receive it. That love doesn't fade, doesn't fail, doesn't walk away when things get hard. It stays. It holds. It heals. And right now, as you listen, I want you to breathe. Let go of everything that's heavy. All the guilt, all the shame, all the fear, release it. You don't have to carry what Jesus already carried for you. You don't have to fight battles that He already won. You just have to rest in His promise that everything broken will be restored, that everything lost will be replaced, that everything meant to harm you will be turned for good. Maybe you've been asking, why me, God? But one day, you'll look back and say, now I see. Because the same tears that fell in pain will fall again in gratitude. The same nights you thought would never end will become the foundation of your testimony. And when people see you shining, they won't see the pain, they'll see the purpose. You didn't go through all of that for nothing. There's a calling on your life that the storm couldn't steal. There's a light inside you that darkness couldn't destroy. You're not defined by what happened to you, you're defined by who's inside you. And he's not done yet. The best chapters are still being written. So when it hurts, don't quit. When it's dark, don't hide. When you feel weak, don't give up. You were made for this. You were chosen for this moment. You are stronger than you think and more loved than you know. Sometimes the hardest battle isn't the one outside, it's the one inside your heart. You smile for the world, but deep inside, there's a war between who you were, who you are, and who you're meant to be. You carry wounds no one can see. The people you trusted broke you. The moments you prayed for never came. And somewhere along the way, you stopped believing that life could ever feel whole again. But listen, your heart can heal. It doesn't matter how shattered it feels, because God specializes in restoration. What man destroys, God rebuilds stronger. What life takes, God returns multiplied. You may have scars, but they are not signs of weakness, they are marks of victory. Every scar says, I survived. Every wound says, I'm still here. There are times when you'll look at your reflection and see only broken pieces. But God sees a masterpiece under construction. He sees beyond your mistakes, beyond your failures, beyond your pain. He sees your potential, your purpose, your promise. He doesn't see what the world calls you, he sees what he created you to be. And when you let him truly in, he starts healing places you didn't even know were wounded. His love reaches the deepest corners of your heart, the ones you've kept hidden from everyone, even yourself. You see, forgiveness isn't about forgetting what happened, it's about freeing yourself from what happened. As long as you hold on to anger, the wound stays open. But the moment you forgive, the healing begins. Maybe they don't deserve it. Maybe they never said sorry. But forgiveness isn't for them, it's for you. It's choosing peace over pain. It's saying, God, I trust your justice more than my revenge. Because when you let go, you make space for blessings to flow again. And maybe, just maybe, you also need to forgive yourself. For the choices you regret. For the times you stayed too long, loved too hard, or gave too much. You can't move forward if you're chained to yesterday. The past is not your prison. Sometimes the reason God closes certain doors is because he knows what's behind them could destroy you. You see rejection, he sees protection. You see loss, he sees redirection. There are things you cried over that you'll thank him for later. The job you didn't get, the person who left, the plan that failed, every no was saving you from something that wasn't meant for your future. Because what's coming will make you forget what you lost. The enemy wants you to believe that your best days are behind you, that you've gone too far, that you've failed too much. But that's a lie. As long as there's breath in your lungs, God still has a plan. You're not too broken to be used. In fact, God uses broken people to reach broken hearts. He turns pain into purpose, tears into testimony, and weakness into strength. You are living proof that grace wins. There's a moment coming, maybe sooner than you think, when everything that broke you will start making sense. In absence. Even when you can't hear him, he's still speaking. Even when you can't feel him, he's still holding you. When a teacher is silent during a test, it doesn't mean he's left the room, it means the student is being trusted. So maybe, right now, God is trusting you more than you realize. He knows that your faith can survive this storm. He knows that even with trembling hands, you're still reaching for him. And that is faith, not the absence of fear, but the decision to keep believing in the middle of it. Every sunrise is a reminder that darkness never wins forever. The night may seem endless, but morning always comes. You may be walking through shadows right now, but shadows can't exist without light. Even if you can't see it yet, His light is all around you. Sometimes it breaks through in whispers, in a kind word, in a friend's prayer, in a small miracle you almost missed. And that's how God works, quietly, gently, but powerfully. He doesn't always move the mountain, sometimes He gives you the strength to climb it. You might feel like everything is falling apart, but maybe, just maybe, things are falling into place. The pain you're feeling is not the end, it's the beginning of transformation. Before a seed grows, it must break. Before gold shines, it must go through fire. Before healing comes, there must be a wound. What you're going through is not punishment, it's preparation. You're being refined for something greater. God is shaping you for the promise He placed inside you long ago. And when you look back, you'll realize that the moments that hurt you most were the same moments that built your strength. The tears that fell watered the seeds of your purpose. The nights you thought you'd never survive. There comes a moment in every life when silence becomes heavy, when prayers feel unanswered, and the heart whispers, "God, are you still there?" You look at your circumstances and wonder if heaven has gone quiet. But, my friend, silence does not mean absence. Even when you can't hear Him, He's still speaking. Even when you can't feel Him, He's still holding you. When a teacher is silent during a test, it doesn't mean he's left the room, it means the student is being trusted. So maybe, right now, God is trusting you more than you realize. He knows that your faith can survive this storm. He knows that even with trembling hands, you're still reaching for Him. And that is faith, not the absence of fear, but the decision to keep believing in the middle of it. Every sunrise is a reminder that darkness never wins forever. The night may seem endless, but morning always comes. You may be walking through shadows right now, but shadows can't exist without light. Even if you can't see it yet, His light is all around you. Sometimes it breaks through in whispers, in a kind word, in a friend's prayer, in a small miracle you almost missed. And that's how God works, quietly, gently, but powerfully. He doesn't always move the mountain, sometimes He gives you the strength to climb it. You might feel like everything is falling apart, but maybe, just maybe, things are falling into place. The pain you're feeling is not the end, it's the beginning of transformation. Before a seed grows, it must break. Before gold shines, it must go through fire. Before healing comes, there must be a wound. What you're going through is not punishment, it's preparation. You're being refined for something greater. God is shaping you for the promise He placed inside you long ago. And when you look back, you'll realize that the moments that hurt you most were the same moments that built your strength. The tears that fell watered the seeds of your purpose. The nights you thought you'd never survive. Maybe you feel too tired to keep fighting. Maybe the weight of everything has left you numb. But hear this, you are not forgotten. Heaven still knows your name. The God who formed your heart still has a plan for your future. He hasn't brought you this far to leave you now. So lift your head. Wipe your tears. Breathe. Because there's still purpose in your pain. There's still beauty in your battle. There's still light in your story. When God restores, He doesn't just return what you lost, He multiplies it. He gives joy for mourning, strength for weakness, peace for chaos. And what once broke you becomes what strengthens others. Your scars become your testimony. The very thing that tried to destroy you becomes the evidence that grace is real. So don't hide your pain, use it. Tell your story. Because someone out there needs to know that healing is possible, that hope is alive, that Jesus still saves. And when you reach the end of yourself, you'll find that's where He begins. When your strength is gone, His takes over. When your plans fail, His start unfolding. That's the mystery of grace, it fills every empty space you surrender. The moment you stop fighting alone and say, God, I can't, but you can, heaven moves. Chains break. Hearts heal. Peace enters. You are not walking this road by accident. Every step has been guided, every tear counted, every prayer heard. Even when you didn't see it, He was preparing you not for an easy life, but for a meaningful one. You were never meant to stay broken, you were meant to rise. And someday soon, you'll look back and realize it all had a purpose. The waiting, the crying, the hoping, the silence. It was shaping you into someone who can stand in the storm and still say, my God is good. That's the power of faith. That's the beauty of a heart that refuses to give up. So don't stop now. Keep believing. Keep walking. Because even if it feels like you're surrounded by darkness, you're actually surrounded by grace. And there are moments in life when the pain becomes louder than the prayer, when the tears speak more than the words ever could. You fall to your knees, not because you are weak, but because you have nothing left to hold on to. You whisper, God, I don't know how to go on. And in that silence, when your voice trembles and your soul feels empty, heaven leans closer. God doesn't turn away from brokenness, He dwells in it. He meets you in your lowest valley, not to condemn you, but to lift you. He doesn't always remove the storm, but He teaches you how to stand in the rain and still believe. Pain is not proof that God has abandoned you, it's proof that He's still shaping you. Every heartbreak, every disappointment, every unanswered prayer is like a chisel in the hands of a master sculptor. You may not see it yet, but He's carving something beautiful out of your suffering. The pain that once made you cry will one day make you wise. The moments that felt like endings were actually divine beginnings. You just didn't recognize them because they came wrapped in tears. You see, God's power doesn't always show up in lightning and thunder. Sometimes it shows up in quiet strength, in the heart that refuses to give up, in the soul that still hopes after being shattered, in the faith that whispers God is good even when life is not. That's real strength. That's real faith. When everything in you says I can't, but something inside you still says I will trust. That's the Holy Spirit moving through your pain. Every time you choose hope instead of despair, heaven celebrates. Every time you forgive when it hurts, you rise a little higher. Every time you love after being broken, you become more like Him. Because the goal was never perfection, it was transformation. God is not looking for people who never fall, He's looking for those who keep standing back up. There's beauty in your brokenness because it's where grace flows the deepest. Think about it, a wound that's open. Do you remember the story of Lazarus? Everyone thought it was over. The tomb was closed, the stone was rolled, and hope was gone. But then Jesus spoke, and death had no choice but to obey. That's the kind of power that lives inside you. The power that brings dead dreams back to life. The power that turns ashes into beauty. The power that makes what seems impossible, possible. Maybe your life feels like that tomb right now, dark, silent, hopeless. But don't forget, the same voice that said, "Lazarus, come out," is still speaking today. He's calling your name. He's calling you out of despair, out of fear, out of shame. He's not finished with you. He's not even close. What you think is an ending, he calls a resurrection. And when you rise, because you will rise, don't forget where you came from. Don't forget the nights you cried and the days you couldn't stand. Because those moments will remind you how far grace can reach. When you see others going through what you went through, reach out your hand. Be the light you once needed. That's how you turn pain into purpose. Sometimes God doesn't calm the storm because He wants to calm you in the middle of it. He wants you to know that peace isn't found in perfect circumstances, it's found in perfect trust. The world will say, "You have to see to believe." But God says, "Believe, and then you will see." You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are exactly where God wants you to be. Every delay, every detour, every closed door is part of a bigger plan you can't yet see. Don't lose faith now. This chapter might be painful, but it's not the end. The same God who was faithful before will be faithful again. And one day, when you tell your story, people won't just see your strength, they'll see His fingerprints all over your journey. They'll say, "There must be a God, because look at what He did with their life." So lift your head, child of God. The storm may rage, but your anchor still holds. You may feel tired. There will come a day when everything you're going through right now will make sense. The questions, the heartbreaks, the waiting, all of it will lead you exactly where you were meant to be. You'll look back and realize that God was never late, He was teaching you patience. He wasn't ignoring you, He was preparing you. He wasn't breaking you, He was building you. Sometimes God allows the storm not to destroy you, but to clear the path ahead. The rain you cursed was watering your next season. The fire you feared was refining your soul. You thought you were losing everything, but in truth, you were being set free. There's a purpose behind every tear, a lesson behind every trial, and a promise behind every delay. You're not walking in circles, you're walking towards something divine. Every step, even the painful ones, are part of a holy design. And though you can't see it yet, heaven has already written your victory. The story is not over just because you can't read the next page. God is still writing, and what He writes always ends with redemption. When you surrender your plans to Him, something shifts. The pressure that once crushed you becomes peace that sustains you. You stop asking why me, and start saying use me. Because now you understand your pain wasn't wasted. It birthed empathy. It birthed compassion. It birthed strength. You can now look at someone else's storm and say, "I've been there. I know what that feels like. But God brought me out, and He'll bring you out too. That's how your suffering becomes someone else's survival. God doesn't just want to change your situation, He wants to change you through it. He's not just giving you blessings, He's making you a blessing. The reason the process is painful is because He's pulling out the fear, the doubt, the bitterness, and replacing it with faith, hope, and love. That's why it takes time. That's why it hurts. But when He's done, you'll be unshakable. Because the foundation of your life won't be There will be days when fear whispers louder than faith. That's okay. You don't have to be fearless to move forward, you just have to move anyway. Courage is not the absence of fear, it's the decision that something greater is worth facing it. And what's greater than the plan of God for your life? The same God who parted the sea for Moses, who raised the dead through Jesus, who calmed the storm with His voice, that same God lives in you. The same power, the same love, the same authority. So don't shrink back when life gets hard. Step forward. You were born to overcome. Sometimes the hardest part of faith is not believing that God can, it's believing that He will. But He will. Maybe not in the way you expect, maybe not when you expect, but always in the way that's best. He's not ignoring your prayers, He's perfecting His timing. He's aligning people, places, and moments you can't see yet. While you're waiting, He's working. And when it's time, it'll happen so suddenly that you'll realize why it couldn't happen sooner. Your tomorrow is not in the hands of luck or fate, it's in the hands of the Creator who shaped the stars. The same God who paints every sunrise has designed your future with care. So stop worrying about what's next and start trusting the one who knows what's next. If you keep looking backward, you'll miss what's right in front of you. God isn't in your past regrets, He's in your next chapter. And that chapter begins the moment you let go and trust. You've cried, you've waited, you've fought battles no one knows about, and yet, you're still standing. That alone is proof that God's hand is on your life. You may not be where you want to be, but you're not where you were. And that means progress. That means grace is working. Keep going. Because everything you've prayed for, believed for, and hoped for is on its way. It's not over. Not for you. Not ever. When you finally reach the other side of this storm, you won't just thank God for the victory. There comes a point in every believer's life when everything around you says, it's over. The prayers you prayed haven't been answered, the dreams you carried seem forgotten, and the silence of heaven feels unbearable. You sit there, wondering if God even remembers your name. But listen, the promise was never about timing, it was about trust. God's promise does not expire when life gets hard. His word does not return empty. What He spoke over your life will come to pass, even if it takes longer than you expected. Because the God who made the promise is also the one who keeps it. You may not see it yet, but heaven is already moving. Every tear you cried watered the seeds of your future. Every prayer you whispered in the dark reached the heart of God. Every time you chose to keep faith instead of giving up, you were building the foundation of your miracle. It's easy to believe when everything is going right, but the real test of faith is believing when nothing makes sense. And that's where you are right now, in the middle of the mystery, walking blind, but still trusting that the light will come. That's where miracles are born. God's promise doesn't always look like what you imagined. Sometimes He answers in ways that surprise you. You asked for strength, and He gave you struggle. You asked for peace, and He gave you storms, not to hurt you, but to prepare you. Because peace that comes too easily fades too quickly. Strength that isn't tested can't last. God's promises aren't meant to make life easier, they're meant to make you stronger. He's not trying to break you, He's building something in you that can't be shaken. There's a reason you had to go through what you did. Every delay, every heartbreak, every loss was part of a divine setup. The door that closed wasn't rejection, it was protection. The people who left weren't punishment, they were part of the pruning. God was removing what couldn't go with you into your next season. Because the promise ahead. Look at Abraham. He waited years for the promise of a son. He faced doubt, laughter, and impossibility. Yet, God kept His word. Look at Joseph. Thrown into a pit, sold as a slave, forgotten in a prison, yet, every setback was a step toward the palace. God's promise didn't fail him, it shaped him. And it's shaping you too. You might feel like your promise is buried under pain right now, but remember, seeds grow in darkness. You can't see what's happening, but life is forming underground. The delay doesn't mean death, it means development. Your promise isn't lost, it's maturing. When the time is right, God will bring it to life, not a second too soon or too late. Because His timing is not just perfect, it's purposeful. So, don't give up. You've come too far to stop believing now. When you feel like letting go, remember who's holding you. The same God who parted the Red Sea, who calmed the storm, who rolled away the stone, He's still moving today. His promises didn't end in the Bible, they're alive in your story. He's still healing. He's still saving. He's still keeping His word. You are living proof that His grace never fails. If the enemy could have stopped you, he would have. The fact that you're still breathing means the promise is still alive. It means God isn't finished. It means the best part of your story hasn't even been written yet. So lift your eyes. Don't stare at the problem, focus on the promise. Don't live in fear, walk in faith. God is not a man that He should lie. What He said, He will do. What He started, He will finish. The waiting is not wasted. The pain is not pointless. The promise is still coming. And one day soon, when it happens, when the miracle unfolds, when the doors open, when the blessing arrives, you'll look up to heaven and whisper, "Now I understand." Because you'll see that every delay had purpose, every heartbreak had meaning, and every moment of silence was leading you right here, to this peace, this freedom, this promise. There will be days when you'll look at your life and wonder, is this really how it was supposed to be? You'll question the journey, the pain, the waiting, the people who left, and the prayers that felt unanswered. You'll think maybe you missed your chance, maybe your story is over. But let me tell you something, your story is not over yet. God is still writing. You might be reading a painful chapter right now, but He is the author, and He never ends a story in defeat. He turns every broken sentence into a message of hope, every comma of pause into a place of purpose. Just because you don't understand the chapter doesn't mean the book has ended. Every scar you carry tells a story, not of your failure, but of your survival. You made it through storms that should have drowned you. You walked through fire and came out stronger. You prayed when no one heard you cry. And yet here you are, still standing. That is grace, my friend. That is proof that God has been with you all along. You see, sometimes the story doesn't make sense because you're living in the middle of it. The middle is messy, it's confusing, it's painful, but it's not permanent. God's story always ends in victory. Maybe right now, you feel stuck, like you've been waiting too long for a miracle. You've been faithful, but you're tired. You've been strong, but you feel empty. You've been believing, but nothing's changing. And you wonder, where are you, God? But hear me, the silence of God is not the absence of God. When you can't hear His voice, trust His hands. When you can't see His plan, trust His heart. He's not ignoring you, He's orchestrating something beyond your understanding. The delay is not a denial, it's divine direction. God is not just preparing the blessing for you, He's preparing you for the blessing. Every story God writes has a turnaround moment, the part where everything suddenly makes sense. Joseph had one in the palace. David had one when the crown touched his head. The Woma. And when you feel like giving up, remember Jesus. He was rejected, beaten, broken, yet He said, "It is finished." Not "I am finished," but "it." Meaning, your sin, your shame, your fear, your failures, finished. He took it all, so you could rise again. And because He rose, you can rise too. Every single time. So today, lift your head. Wipe your tears. Take a deep breath. You are not forgotten. God's pen has not stopped. The chapter you're living now may hurt, but it's not the end, it's just the middle of your miracle. Keep walking. Keep believing. Keep trusting. Because the God who started your story will be faithful to finish it. One day, you'll look back and smile through the tears and say, "Now I understand." God was never late, He was always right on time. Every broken piece, every painful night, every unanswered prayer, it was all leading here, to this peace, this purpose, this moment of realization that Jesus was writing beauty out of ashes all along. So don't close the book. Don't walk away. You're too close to the ending He's preparing for you. The story is not over, it's about to turn glorious. Hold on. Breathe. Believe. God is still writing your story. And it's going to be beautiful. Sometimes God takes us through valleys not to break us, but to build us. You see, the mountain views you dream of, they are only visible after you've walked through the deepest valleys. And maybe that's where you are right now. A season where nothing makes sense, where you've prayed for years and heaven seems silent. But hear me, the valley is not a punishment, it's preparation. Every tear you've cried is watering a seed that will bloom in due time. God hasn't forgotten you. Heaven has heard every whisper of your heart. You are not unseen, you are deeply known, deeply loved, and deeply chosen. Sometimes, God hides you before He reveals you. You think it's isolation, but it's incubation. He's protecting you from people who couldn't handle your calling. He's shaping your heart in private before He shows your light in public. Remember David, before the throne, he had to conquer lions in secret fields. Remember Joseph, before the palace, he was refined in prison. God always prepares His people in private before He promotes them in public. So if you feel hidden right now, rejoice, it means God is doing something sacred inside you. And even when your heart is breaking, even when you're standing in the middle of your mess, I want you to know something: Jesus is closer than your next breath. He's not far away in heaven looking down, He's right there beside you, holding your hand, whispering, "You're going to make it." The world may have given up on you, but heaven hasn't. The pain that tried to destroy you is the same pain God will use to deliver you. There's something powerful that happens when you refuse to quit, when you stand in the fire and still say, "God, I trust you." That's the moment heaven takes notice. That's the moment chains start breaking, and miracles begin moving toward you. Every prayer you've prayed, every night you've cried, none of it is wasted. The Bible says, "Those who sow in tears shall reap in joy." Your tears are not meaningless, And one day soon, you will stand in the very place where you once cried and say, "Now I understand why it had to happen that way." The pain you felt will become the purpose you live for. The people who left will be replaced by peace that never leaves. The wounds will become wisdom, and your scars will tell stories of survival. You are not a mistake. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are exactly where God needs you to be right now, in the middle of your miracle. Every step, every fall, every comeback, it's all a part of the masterpiece He's creating. So breathe. Rest your heart. God's plan is still unfolding. The ending He's writing is far greater than the pain you've been fighting. Hold on to hope, even if it's just a whisper. Because one whisper of faith can silence 1,000 doubts. Your victory is not coming someday, it's already written. You just haven't reached that page yet. So keep turning, keep walking, keep believing. God's not done with you. The same hands that formed the stars are still forming your story. And when the time is right, the world will see what heaven has been working on all along. You